She tried to keep it quiet for decades, not because she didn't care, not because he wasn't important, but because sometimes the deepest connections are the hardest to explain. For 25 years, Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio have carried one of Hollywood's greatest untold love stories. No scandal, no tabloid-fueled affairs, no dramatic breakups, just chemistry, loyalty, and an undeniable spark that audiences and even co-stars couldn't ignore. For years, fans asked the same question over and over again: why didn't Kate and Leo ever get together? The rumors never stopped. Whispers became headlines. Headlines became legends. Yet through it all, both remained calm, smiling politely, brushing aside suggestions, claiming it was just friendship, until now. Because at 49, with more than 2 decades of silence behind her, Kate Winslet has finally peeled back the curtain. And what she just revealed about Leonardo DiCaprio has left fans reeling. This isn't just nostalgia. This isn't just admiration. This is Kate, raw, reflective, and heartbreakingly honest, finally admitting what millions have suspected all along. But before we reveal Kate's emotional confession, we need to rewind to where it all began, 1996, the moment the world and 2 young actors would never forget. Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio were cast as Rose and Jack in Titanic, 2 roles destined to immortalize them both. But before the cameras even rolled, sparks flew in the most unexpected way. No, not romantic sparks, not yet, but instant chemistry, the kind of connection that's rare in Hollywood. On set, Kate and Leo became inseparable. In between takes, they laughed. They pulled pranks. They made each other feel safe. Kate would later reveal in interviews, he was just so free-spirited and fun. I felt I could be completely myself around him. For Leo, working with Kate was equally effortless. He once admitted, we had a natural ease. A lot of giggles, a lot of trust. That trust was essential. Filming Titanic was grueling, the cold water, the long hours, the global pressure riding on their shoulders. But through it all, Kate and Leo leaned on each other. When Rose and Jack's love story lit up screens in 1997 and Titanic became a phenomenon, fans saw what they thought was real love. How could it not be? Every glance, every tear, every whispered, never let go, it all felt too authentic to be acting. Tabloids jumped on the story immediately, Leo and Kate, Hollywood's hottest secret couple. But the 2 stars shut it down instantly. In press junkets and interviews, they maintained it was purely friendship. Kate once laughed and said, luckily, and this is the fortunate thing, we never fancied each other. It would have been a disaster. Leo echoed that sentiment, we were so comfortable with each other. Too comfortable to date, maybe. And yet, for audiences watching from afar, that explanation never quite added up. Because on screen and off, their bond was unmistakable. Even when they dismissed the idea of romance, fans kept wondering, was there something deeper they were hiding? As years passed, that question only grew louder, because Kate and Leo's bond didn't fade. If anything, it became stronger than ever. The years after Titanic were supposed to create distance, in Hollywood, they usually do. Actors move on. Co-stars drift apart. Blockbuster magic fades. But somehow, Kate and Leo stayed close, closer than almost any former co-stars ever do. When they stepped away from Jack and Rose, their bond only grew. Throughout the 2000s, as they built powerhouse careers, they kept orbiting each other, red carpets, award shows, press events, but it wasn't forced, and it wasn't for the cameras. It was genuine. Kate openly referred to Leo as her rock. She gushed in interviews, he's my closest friend in the industry, maybe in life. And Leo? He didn't hold back either. He often praised Kate's talent, but it wasn't just professional. She's my girl. We've always looked out for each other. Audiences watched them age gracefully, from young breakout stars to icons, yet they remained each other's biggest supporters. In 2009, at the Golden Globes, Kate won for Revolutionary Road, a movie that reunited the 2. And on stage, emotions overwhelmed her. Leo, I'm so happy I can stand here and tell you how much I love you. I love you with all my heart. I really do. The room roared. Leo smiled warmly, and fans lost it. Was this a moment? Was Kate letting something slip? Yet when asked backstage, she brushed it off again, "We're just very dear friends." The world didn't buy it. By 2016, the narrative only intensified. Leo finally won his long-awaited Oscar for The Revenant. Kate, sitting just feet away, burst into tears when his name was called. As he walked the stage, the cameras caught her emotional, proud, almost glowing. Later that night, they shared a long, intimate hug at the after-party. Whispers exploded online, "Look at them, they're soulmates." But once again, nothing official, no relationship, no scandal, just unwavering public devotion. Fans coined them Hollywood's most frustrating couple that never was. But they weren't alone in thinking that. Even some close to the pair began wondering, was this really just friendship? Because while they stayed silent, subtle cracks began to show, hints that maybe, just maybe, something deeper was always there, hidden. It wasn't until years later that Kate quietly admitted something fans always suspected: timing. That was the real villain of their story. "It's so funny," Kate once said in an interview, "Leo and I never really were in that place at the same time. When I was single, he wasn't. And vice versa. It was like a running joke between us." A running joke. But was it really funny? Or was it quietly heartbreaking? Their lives moved in parallel, yet never intersected in that way. Kate married director Sam Mendes in 2003. Leo famously dated models, but nothing serious stuck for long. No matter who they dated or married, no partner ever seemed to quite erase their connection to each other. They leaned on one another through divorces, family struggles, and the harsh glare of fame. Kate herself once admitted, "I called him for everything: breakups, bad days, parenting advice. He's always been there." That isn't casual. That isn't typical. That's intimate. That's rare. And it started to show in subtle moments: the way they held each other on red carpets, the private jokes caught by paparazzi lenses, the long hugs after major life events. Fans dissected every interaction. Was there longing in Kate's eyes? Did Leo ever look at her with regret? And more importantly, was there ever a moment, even fleeting, when they both thought, what if? The public wasn't the only one wondering. Friends close to them, in safe, anonymous quotes, hinted that Kate and Leo's friendship often walked the line between platonic and unspoken love. "They are closer than many married couples," one insider shared years ago. If they ever crossed that line, no one would be surprised, but they never did, at least not publicly. Still, fans refused to believe that nothing had ever been felt. And secretly, maybe Kate felt that way too. Because after years of brushing it off, she finally said the words no one expected and admitted what the world always believed deep down was true. 4. For years, Kate Winslet deflected. Not with malice, not with denial, but with grace. Every time a journalist asked, "Did you ever love Leo?" or "Were you ever more than friends?" she gave the same answers: safe, diplomatic, unshakably loyal. "We're just very close. We've always just been the best of friends." The subtext was always the same: nothing to see here. But beneath the surface, where fans, and perhaps even Kate herself often wondered, questions remained. Could two people be that close without something deeper stirring, even fleetingly? For nearly 25 years, Kate held that line. Until now, in a 2025 interview promoting her latest project, Kate Winslet, now 49, older, wiser, and perhaps a little freer, finally broke through the well-rehearsed answers. She wasn't prompted by scandal. She wasn't cornered into admitting anything. Instead, she reflected on life, on love, and on the man who for so long had been her cinematic other half. "Leo, he's just everything you'd hope he is," she said, her eyes softening. "He's kind, funny, endlessly loyal." And then came the words that stopped fans in their tracks. "I don't know where I'd be without him. Truly, he's seen me through everything." Her voice lowered slightly as she added, "We've never been together. No. But if life had been different, who knows? Who knows?" Two simple words. But for millions of fans who had hung on to every glance, every hug, every loving award speech, those two words were deafening. For the first time, Kate wasn't dismissing the idea. She wasn't laughing it off or putting up walls. She was leaving the door open and perhaps quietly admitting that, yes, if timing, fate, or circumstance had allowed, Leo could have been the one. Headlines erupted overnight. Kate Winslet finally confesses. What if Leo had been the one? Kate's unexpected confession about DiCaprio has fans melting. Social media exploded. Clips of her saying, "Who knows," went viral. Fans flooded timelines with old Titanic gifts, crying emojis, and declarations like, "I knew it." She loved him. Even celebrity commentators weighed in, some calling it heartbreaking, some calling it beautiful, most calling it inevitable. But as always, this was only half the story. Because for all Kate had finally revealed, the world still wondered, what about Leo? Because Kate may have spoken, but Leonardo DiCaprio's silence said just as much. If Kate's confession sent shock waves, Leo's reaction, or lack of it, became the next obsession. Leonardo DiCaprio didn't race to Instagram to comment. He didn't issue a gushy statement. But true to form, he didn't have to. For years, Leo's affection for Kate has been quiet but constant. Not in interviews, but in actions. During his Oscar campaigns, when other stars came and went, Kate remained his shadow. At every major milestone, Kate was there. When he finally won his Oscar, it was Kate who cried the hardest. Even after marriages, breakups, and distance, they remained each other's always. In a rare quote years ago, Leo said, "Kate knows me better than anyone. I trust her with my life." Not romantic on the surface, but who says the deepest love is always romantic? To those who know them, the bond has always been clear. They speak weekly. They share private jokes no one else understands. They comfort each other during heartbreaks and celebrate life's little victories. "It's pure," Kate once said. "No judgment, just love." Still, fans can't help but wonder if Kate now says, "Who knows," if she finally let herself admit publicly that maybe, just maybe, Leo could have been the one. What does Leo think when he hears those words? Friends say he's fiercely protective of Kate. Always has been. Some hint he feels the same way but knows they missed their moment. Leo never wanted to mess up what they had. One anonymous friend once told a gossip outlet, but he's always loved her in his own way. Today, as they both near 50, the question still lingers, are they soulmates who found love in friendship, or two people who danced around something greater and missed it entirely? When asked recently about Kate's words, Leo only smiled gently and said, "Kate will always be family." For many, that said it all. For others, it said nothing. But for the fans, the ones who watch Jack and Rose fall in love and never let go, it's enough to keep the dream alive. Because sometimes love stories aren't defined by weddings or headlines. Sometimes love is quieter, more complex, and far more enduring. But for those who still believe the story isn't quite over yet, because in Hollywood nothing stays unsaid forever. For years, fans asked if Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio were secretly in love. Now they ask something else: did they miss their chance? Kate's words in 2025 didn't just confirm a connection, they ignited a wave of bittersweet speculation. If life had been different, who knows? In those 5 words, decades of rumors, fanfiction, and quiet hopes were suddenly validated. Maybe it could have happened. Maybe under different circumstances, Kate and Leo would have been Hollywood's ultimate love story. But fate, timing, and life had other plans. Marriages, careers, personal growth, they all stacked up year after year until crossing that line no longer made sense. And yet, the love never faded. Even now, friends say they are closer than ever. Even now, Leo calls Kate for advice, and she reaches out to him in moments of need. Even now, when they reunite at public events, their bond outshines everything else in the room. It isn't passionate. It isn't scandalous. It's quieter, deeper, and somehow even more powerful. Because while Hollywood loves dramatic affairs and shocking romances, Kate and Leo gave us something far rarer, a connection that outlasted lust, a friendship that became family, and a love, whether romantic or not, that never truly ended. But fans aren't ready to close the book just yet. Every glance they share goes viral. Every interview where they praise each other reignites hope. And every whisper of, what if, keeps the story alive. Even Kate's latest confession feels like a door left ajar, not shut. Who knows? 3 syllables, endless possibilities. Maybe they'll never be together the way fans once dreamed. Maybe they'll always be the perfect example of timing gone wrong. Or maybe someday, long after the cameras stop rolling and the awards stop coming, Kate and Leo's story will find its way back to where it always seemed destined to end, together. Until then, though, one thing is certain. For the millions who fell in love with Jack and Rose and the real-life bond that followed, the greatest Hollywood love story remains unwritten. And in that space between friendship and forever, the world still waits.